Good afternoon, viewers in Indonesia and Singapore. Market Headlines is ready to provide you a number of informations from the business, economic, and capital market sectors. With me, Fajar Wayong, this is Market Headlines. After being injected with the second dose of COVID-19 vaccine, President Joko Widowo stated that the public will be able to get the COVID-19 vaccine in mid-February 2021. After being injected with the second dose of COVID-19 vaccine, President Joko Widowo stated that the public will be able to get the COVID-19 vaccine in mid-February 2021.
Sesuai yang saya sampaikan awal, pertama memang diprioritaskan untuk tenaga kesehatan, dokter, perawat. Ini prioritas. Kemudian nanti berikutnya TNI Polri dan pelayan publik serta masyarakat nanti berbarengan, saya kira di bulan Februari, pertengahan sudah bisa masuk ke sana.
The President explained that the initial stages of COVID-19 vaccination were indeed targeting health workers. He targets that the number of vaccinations realized can continue to increase every day. With the ability of 30,000 vaccinators, 10,000 health centers, and 3,000 hospitals in Indonesia, he is targeting vaccinations to reach 900,000 to 1 million people every day. The President reminded that even though the public had received the COVID-19 vaccine, the public must still apply health protocols, namely wearing face masks, washing hands, and maintaining distance. From all sources, for IDX Channel. Meanwhile, Health Minister Budi Gunadi Sadikin hopes that the second injection of the COVID-19 vaccine to President Joko Widowo can further convince the public. Health Minister Budi Gunadi Sadikin hopes that the second injection of the COVID-19 vaccine to President Joko Widowo can further convince the public.
Memang ini menunjukkan bahwa proses vaksinasi sudah selesai untuk batch yang pertama ini. Dan bisa kita lakukan dalam waktu yang singkat. Mudah-mudahan ini bisa menjadi contoh memotivasi seluruh tenaga kerja kesehatan di seluruh Indonesia agar mereka juga cepat yang belum suntikan pertama mengejar suntikan pertama, dan yang sudah disuntik pertama juga bisa segera menyelesaikan suntikan kedua.
For information, Health Minister Budi Gunadi is also one of the second vaccine recipients after President Joko Widowo. The minister reminded that after the COVID-19 vaccination, it did not mean that health protocols could be ignored. He added that vaccine recipients also take about 2 to 3 weeks to develop antibodies. Based on the information from the COVID-19 Handling Task Force, the first injection is intended to introduce the vaccine and its ingredients to the immune system, while the second injection aims to strengthen the immune response that has been formed. From all sources, for IDX Channel. The spike in world soybean prices has surged the price of imported soybeans in Indonesia. This is very vital because soybean is raw material for Indonesia's staple foods, namely tofu and tempe. To tackle the problem, the government has formulated several programs.
Ministry of Agriculture plans 3 programs to solve soybean prices problem. This program is carried out to stabilize prices and also increase soybean production. The main goal is to maintain price volatility in the market. There are SOS 100 days program, 200 days program, and permanent program. So first of all, the SOS program of 100 days, which is from January to March 2021, the Ministry of Agriculture plans to increase supply to tofu and tempe producers, stabilize prices, increase soybean agricultural productions. And these corporations will also be involved with the Ministry of Trade as a stakeholder in the domestic trade. Next, there is 200 days program. Ministry prepares planting area of 325 hectares, providing funding, pest control, and preparing for planting in the dry season. 2. This short and medium-term plan is expected to be able to control the soybean problem in 2021.
Kementerian Pertanian membuat langkah melalui 3 agenda SOS selama 100 hari ke depan, diantaranya memperlancar pasokan dan pengrajin tahu tempe pasar, stabilisasi harga, meningkatkan produksi pertanian, menyiapkan CPCL, serta membentuk gugus tugas lintas kementerian dan lembaga. Kerjasama ini sepenuhnya bersama Kementerian Perdagangan juga.
Meanwhile, for the third program, the Ministry of Agriculture has launched a permanent program in the form of making soybean part of 12 strategic foods. Besides that, it will maximize local soybean supplies and carry out downstreaming of soybean products. And by these short to long-term programs, hopefully it can meet the needs of the soybeans as a raw material of tofu and tempe, which are mandatory food for Indonesian people. From Jakarta, Muhammad Olga for IDX Channel.
To hedge the hiking soybean price, government also set soybean price ceiling. However, soybean importers are refusing to implement a government-ordered price ceiling.
As soaring global soybean prices leave Indonesia tempe and tofu market in a state of flux, Chairman of Indonesian Soybean Importers Association, Yusan, said that the Agriculture Ministry's price ceiling of 8,500 rupiah per kilogram was not profitable at all. Compared to the average of 9,500 rupiah per kilogram that members have to pay to import the commodity. Thus, only 2 importers publicly listed FKS Multiagro and Gerbang Cahaya Utama that have implemented the price ceiling thus far, while other importers remain silent. Indonesian Soybean Importer Association stated that the market operations to cap the prices burdens the importers. The more expensive tofu and tempe that had been sold in the local markets recently is mainly because Indonesia still relies on soybean imports. From all sources, IDX Channel.
Market headlines will be right back. Stay tuned.
Saya Prisa Samodatu membawakan program berita News Screen yang menghadirkan informasi seputar ekonomi maupun juga bisnis dari dalam negeri.
Kementerian Pariwisata dan Ekonomi Kreatif telah menyiapkan 3 program yang menjadi langkah awal untuk membangkitkan pariwisata di tahun 2021.
Pemerintah menegaskan bahwa di awal tahun 2021 ini tetap fokus pada aspek kesehatan masyarakat.
Kita melihat bahwa tren positif itu terjadi karena pertumbuhan kuartal ke kuartal itu sudah di 5,05%.
Pemerintah memastikan akan mengubah bantuan sosial di wilayah Jabodetabek dari skema bantuan sembako menjadi bantuan langsung tunai.
I'm associate producer and news presenter on Market Headlines. As Market Headlines starts at 4:30 p.m., which is in line with the closing market, therefore we summarize market conditions only for you. And my job in here as a journalist, I give concise and accurate news for the audience. And also, being a journalist is not only a job for me, but it is also a passion.
welcome back. Among all the countries that invest in Indonesia, the Investment Coordinating Board still noted that Singapore is still in the top country that has invested the most in Indonesia throughout 2020.
The Indonesia Investment Coordinating Board, or BKPM, recorded investment realizations of 826.3 trillion rupiah throughout 2020. BKPM claimed that the realizations exceeded the target of 817.2 trillion rupiah. From the total investment in 2020, Singapore ranks the first with 9.8 billion US dollar. Under Singapore, there is China with investment realizations of 4.8 billion US dollar, followed by Hong Kong with 3.5 billion US dollar and Japan by 2.6 billion US dollar. Indeed, the development of bilateral relations on the economic sector has been very well developed between Indonesia and Singapore. It can be seen that in the midst of global economic turmoil, Singapore is still Indonesia's main partner in trade sector, whereas the number of investment is higher as the time goes by. From all sources, IDX Channel.
Not only in 2020, Singapore has been the top foreign investor in Indonesia since 2014. But before we discuss more about economic relationship between Indonesia and Singapore, I would like to show you first where Singapore's position is compared to other countries with biggest investment in Indonesia. Let's check the first graphic. So in the first graphic, there are countries with biggest investment in Indonesia. The first one is Singapore with 9.8 billion US dollar investment. The second one is China with 4.8 billion US dollar. Hong Kong on the third place with 3.5 billion US dollar. South Korea fall with 2.6 billion US dollar, and Japan on the top 5 with 1.8 billion US dollar total investment value in Indonesia. As a whole, the Indonesia Investment Coordinating Board, or BKPM, recorded investment realization of 826.3 trillion rupiah throughout 2020. But still, Singapore ranks first as country with biggest investment in Indonesia. Under Singapore, there is China with investment realization of 4.8 billion US dollar. But through the number, we can see that Singapore's number is undefeatable. Also, through the graphic, we can see that Singapore and Indonesia enjoy excellent bilateral relations, including strong economic cooperation. Businesses of both sides have collaborated well through 9.8 billion US dollar investment. But how about previous years? Let's examine more on Singapore's investment in Indonesia as years go by through the next graphic. So in the second graphic, we can see Singapore's investment in Indonesia, of course, in billion US dollar. On 2018, 9.9 billion US dollar. In 2019, 6.5 billion US dollar, and 2020, 9.8 billion US dollar, Singapore's investment value in Indonesia. But there is interesting statement from BKPM Deputy for Controlling Implementation of Investment, Farah Indriani. She said that the investment from Singapore was not purely from that country. It is because many investments from other countries, such as South Korea, China, the United States, have invested in Indonesia through Singapore. For example, Berkeley Bank is a British bank. Let's say that the company wants to invest to Indonesia, but rather than using its headquarters in UK, Berkeley Bank reversed its branch office in Singapore to do investment in Indonesia. In a sense, the company that invests to Indonesia is UK. But however, from what was listed in BKPM, the investment is still from Singapore. And through the next graphic, let's see how many projects that recorded from Singapore in Indonesia. So this is Indonesia-Singapore total projects in 2017, 5,951. In the next year, 2018, 4,946, while in 2019, there was 7,020 projects between Indonesia and Singapore. But back again, not all these projects are Singaporean projects. In short, many countries build their hubs in Singapore, then invest in Indonesia. In our system, it records the country of origin of the investment from Singapore. So it is not surprising that Singapore is always in the top ranking of investment in Indonesia. Indeed, the government of Indonesia and Singapore enjoy a strong economic relationship. As a matter of fact, both central banks, Bank Indonesia and the Monetary Authority of Singapore agreed on several cooperations. What are those? Let's see it through the next graphic. So this is economic cooperation between Bank of Indonesia and Monetary Authority of Singapore as the central bank for both countries. The first one is Local Currency Bilateral Swap Agreement, or LCBSA, and the second one is Bilateral Repo Agreement, or BRL. The data is taken from Bank of Indonesia. So for the Local Currency Bilateral Swap Agreement, it was previously signed after annual leaders meeting between President Joko Widodo and Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. The agreement enables both central banks to access foreign currency liquidity from each other if needed. This collaboration is expected to support monetary and financial stability in both countries, while for bilateral repo agreement allows repo transactions between the two central banks to obtain liquidity in United States dollars of up to $3 billion. It is true that Indonesia-Singapore relations are underpinned by strong economic cooperation. Singapore and Indonesia have accomplished much together in the last few years and can do much more together for the long-term benefit of their people. And bilateral ties between Singapore and Indonesia have been strong for decades now, owing to an excellent relationship of trust. Looking forward for brighter cooperation between Indonesia and Singapore. And viewers, stay tuned on Market Headlines, because Market Headlines will be right back after this quick break. Welcome back on Market Headlines. We're on the last segment. At the Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement, earlier today, JCI was open at the level of 6,112.33, and then approaching the closing time on the first session, the index was on the level of 6,091.8. And then the index was showing weakening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 6,109.16. In short, JCI went down 0.5%. And next, we're going to see the sectoral movement. Leading the dynamics of today's trading, we got agriculture as the leader of strengthening trend that went up 2.48%. Infrastructure went up 1.82%. Meanwhile, mining sector went down 1.84%, and miscellaneous industry went down by 1.57%. Moving on to top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading session. Waskita Karya went up by 8.51% to the level of 1,630 rupiah per share. Telkom went up 3.68% to the level of 3,380 rupiah per share. PTPP went up 10.17% to the level of 1,860 rupiah per share. Wijaya Karya went up by 14.58% to the level of 1,965 rupiah per share. Meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got Aneka Tambang went down 4.49% to the level of 2,550 rupiah per share. Bank Rakyat Indonesia went down 0.65% to the level of 4,620 rupiah per share. BRI Syariah went down 6.95% to the level of 2,810 rupiah per share. Bank Central Asia or BBCA went down 0.44% to the level of 33,950 rupiah per share. And next we're going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. So rupiah opened at the level of 14,091. Rupiah was also showing strengthening trend towards US dollar and was closed at the level of 14,080. In summary, rupiah went up 0.05%. The integrated area developer Pura Delta Lestari achieved marketing sales during 2020 of 2.39 trillion rupiah or 19% higher than the initial target.
The integrated area developer Pura Delta Lestari achieved marketing sales during 2020 of 2.39 trillion rupiah or 19% higher than the initial target. Pura Delta Director Tondi Suwanto said that the marketing sales achievement was mainly derived from the sale industrial lane covering 119.5 hectares. Furthermore, the automotive and automotive-related industrial sectors, the food industry, warehousing, and data centers are industrial sectors that invest in buying industrial land in the GIIC industrial area in line with the latest developments including digital industrial growth. Acquisitions of goods sales in 2020 will increase the value of the Kota Delta Mas area. Pura Delta Lestari will also continue to develop residential and commercial areas in Kota Delta Mas to provide the best facilities for workers, residents, and visitors to the Kota Delta Mas area. From all sources for IDX Channel.
Dharma Satya Nusantara allocates capital expenditure of up to 1 trillion rupiah in 2021. The company's management ensures that the capital expenditure will be used for completion of 2 factories.
Dharma Satya Nusantara allocates capital expenditure of up to 1 trillion rupiah in 2021. The management stated that the capex is from company's internal cash and loan. In the same time, the management reveals that the capital expenditure will be used for completion of 2 factories. For additional information, the company is still developing 2 factories in Kalimantan, which are targeted to operate in the second half of 2021. With 2 additional factories, the company owns 12 factories in total. Meantime, this year, the company is targeting higher performance. It can be seen from crude palm oil production to grow 10% higher than realizations in 2020. From all sources for IDX Channel.
Let's move to the other sector. Permata Bank, or issuer under code BNLI, officially became a bank in the category of Book 4 after received confirmation from the Financial Services Authority or OJK. President Director of Permata Bank Rida Wirakusuma said that according to data as of December 31st, 2020, the total core capital of the company was above 30 trillion rupiah. Rida ensures that the company is committed to strengthening Permata Bank's role as an agent of development with strong capital support, prudential banking in accordance with good corporate governance, and the sustainable development of a comprehensive digital banking platform and services. Meanwhile, President of Bangkok Bank and President Commissioner of Permata Bank, Chatsiri Sofon Panich, say that as one of the top 10 banks in Indonesia, Permata Bank will continue to support the financial needs of its customers, especially during the recovery period from the pandemic. According to Money Market Information Center of Central Bank, Bank Bukopin has the highest deposit rate among of all banks. It is now in the level of 5.13%.
The trend of deposit rates continues to shrink in line with the Bank Indonesia policy, which continues to cut the benchmark interest rate. But then, there are banks that keep the high rate, for example, Bank Bukopin. Deposit rate depends on which tenor that investors would like to take. In Bank Bukopin's case, deposit rate for 1-month tenor offers at a 4.5%. For 6 months tenor, the Bank Bukopin offers 4.88%, while for 1 year tenor, the highest bid came from the Bank Bukopin with a deposit rate of 5.13%. From all sources, IDX Channel.
And viewers, step aside from market condition as coronavirus pandemic takes big role on current economic situation. Here is an update data about coronavirus globally. And the news close our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business, and capital market channel. I am Fajar Wayong. Have a nice evening and stay safe.